This is what dying in every single natural disaster would be like. And ladies and box heads, let's start off with a volcanic eruption. Before a volcano erupts, it rumbles in warning. It can rumble for days, months, or even just a few hours before all hell breaks loose. Let's just say you live somewhere near a volcano, and it's been making some strange noises for days. You wouldn't think it's weird because you think you have time. Well, buddy, you're dead wrong. Because volcanic eruptions have no signs to tell you that time is up and things are gonna go kaboomy. The eruption explodes out of nowhere. The entire top of the mountain vaporizes in a blast that can be heard at least 500 miles away. A column of rocks and superheated gas as hot as 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit shoots 15 miles into the sky at anywhere between 450 and 900 miles per hour, spreading like a nuclear mushroom cloud. And you little box head, you're just 10 miles away, and for some strange reason you think you're safe. The pyroclastic flow comes first. An avalanche of superheated gas and volcanic debris is racing down the mountainside at, well, 100 miles per hour. Like, hello? That's as fast as you could hit the subscribe button. Golly! Anyways, it's 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. And oh boy, is it hungry for everything in its path. You see it in the distance, the trees vanish so damn fast, it's almost like my daddy. Okay, I'm done with the jokes. Any buildings disappear, the landscape itself gets erased. You run for your car, but you might as well just try to outrun a rocket. The heat hits you first, even at a 350-foot distance. It seriously feels like someone opened the door to hell. The air itself becomes hostile, so hot it hurts to breathe. Your skin starts to prickle and burn like you're a marshmallow in a bonfire. Then the flow reaches you. Your clothes burst out into flames. If you're wearing cheap materials like polyester, they will melt straight into your skin, while natural fibers like silk and cotton vaporize in seconds, basically leaving you naked and burning in a cloud of gas hot enough to melt copper. Your skin starts cooking immediately. First degree burns spread across your entire body in seconds. Then second degree blisters. Then third degree burns cook through to the muscle and bone beneath. The superheated gas hits your lungs like molten metal. Your airways instantly swell shut as the soft tissue inside your throat and chest literally cooks on contact. Buddy, your whole respiratory system liquefies. But you don't feel it. Not really. Because the superheated air has already fried the nerve endings in your skin. So seriously, you almost can't even feel it. Like, imagine you're burning alive, but your body can't even tell you about it anymore. Your blood starts to boil, and I mean actually boil. The proteins in your brain fry and change color like eggs in a frying pan. Your thoughts are scattering, then vanish entirely as your conscious dissolves in the heat. Your heart tries to pump liquid fire through vessels that are collapsing. It manages only 3 or 4 beats before giving up entirely. So in this whole process, you're dead in no more than 30 seconds, if not instantly. But your body still sizzling. When the rescue workers arrive weeks later, when it's finally safe for them to enter the area, they find heaps and heaps of ash. Not a single body intact. If you're lucky, that's all that's left of you. But maybe, let's just say you're outside the pyroclastic flow zone, which is typically 6 to 10 miles around the volcano. You would suffocate on volcanic ash that cuts your lungs like microscopic glass. Or maybe, let's just say you avoid the immediate eruption. You would die slowly of starvation during the volcanic winter that follows. Or maybe you're even further away. Unfortunately, the acid rain will dissolve you gradually over the next few weeks. Now let's talk about how you would die in a tornado. The sound of a tornado is so loud it drowns out all of the sirens blaring to tell you it's coming. The tornado is still a mile away when you start to see it clearly. A massive black rope reaching from the ground to the storm clouds. Unlike the cartoons, it's not moving in a straight line, it's dancing. You don't know which way it's about to step each passing second. You're in your basement like the safety precautions tell you to be, pressed against the concrete wall praying to whatever gods might be listening. The house above you is shaking so violently that the dust and debris rain down from the ceiling. Crack! Bang! That's your neighbor's house coming apart. You can hear individual pieces of furniture being ripped away and thrown into the spinning hell above you. And buddy, your house is next. The pressure in your ear builds. Like you're seriously in an airplane that's diving nose first towards the subscribe button. Your eardrums feel like they're about to burst from the massive low pressure system passing overhead. Whoosh! Then the roof comes off. Not gradually, all at once. Like God seriously just reached down and peeled your house like a banana. Suddenly the basement isn't a shelter anymore. It's the bottom of a blender. The wind doesn't just push you down, it lifts you. 200 miles per hour gusts of wind grab your body like invisible hands and tear you away from the wall you're clinging onto. You're airborne before you realize what's happening. Boom! You slam into the opposite wall as you're going up, and you slammed hard. But ladies and box heads, there is no time to process the pain because the wind grabs you again and throws you into the furnace. Metal ducts wrap around your leg like a steel tentacle. The sharp edges slice through your jeans and into your flesh. Blood sprays, but it's immediately sucked up into the vortex above you. And if you haven't noticed already, you're not in your basement anymore, you're in the tornado. Everything's spinning, debris whips past your head at lethal speeds. I'm talking about chunks of wood, pieces of cars, everything is turned into missiles. A random kitchen knife stabs itself into your thigh. A piece of rebar punctures your abdomen. You don't know what's gonna hit you next. It's all so random. You try to scream, but you physically can't. The air pressure is so low that your saliva in your mouth starts to boil. Pressure changes would normally cause your sinuses to swell up. This pressure change is so intense, it actually causes them to collapse inwards. Blood vessels in your eyes burst from the pressure differential. And the tornado is feeding itself, it's growing stronger. And you're part of its meal now. You're now 200 feet up, 300 feet, 500 feet. The ground sorta looks like a Lego set below you. Cars are scattered like dice. Houses are reduced to fragments. Then the tornado gets bored with you. Slam! It spits you out like a cherry pit. The fall takes forever. You tumble through the air, arms and legs flailing uselessly. You hit the earth with the force of a meteor. Every bone in your body breaks all at once. Your spine snaps in 3 places. Your skull fractures like an eggshell. Internal organs rupture and bleed into body cavities that are no longer in the right shape. But somehow, impossibly, you're still conscious. That is, for a few more seconds. Long enough to see the tornado moving away seeking fresh victims. Long enough to taste the blood filling your mouth. Long enough to realize that you've just landed in what used to be your neighbor's living room, 300 yards from where you started. And ladies and box heads, I don't think I need to say it, but right after this, you would be dead. But let's consider some other possibilities. Maybe the tornado misses your house. Now you get to die from infected wounds because the nearest hospital got flattened. Or maybe you're smart and shelter under an overpass. Now the concentrated winds can crush your car like a tin can while you're trapped inside. Let's move on to how you would die from an avalanche. When you go on a skiing trip with your best box heads, you don't anticipate the mountains killing you. The snow doesn't look dangerous, it's pristine, white, beautiful. Like something from a Christmas card. One fine day, let's say you're skiing the backcountry, carving perfect turns through powder that sparkles in the morning sun. Then you hear it crack, like someone stepping on a dry twig. But that tiny sound just sentenced you to death. The snowpack suddenly fractures beneath your skis. What was solid ground a second ago is now a moving river of snow. The slab you're standing on, 100 yards wide and 3 feet thick, breaks free and starts sliding down the mountain. You try to ski off to the side, but the avalanche is faster. Much faster. Within seconds, it's already moving at 40 miles per hour and accelerating. The snow beneath your skis gives away and suddenly you're falling. The avalanche tosses you around, you tumble head over heels. Skis ripped from your feet, poles torn from your hands. Snow forces its way into your mouth, your nose, and your eyes. You try to swim like they taught you in avalanche safety class, stay on top. Keep your head up, fight for the surface. But fighting an avalanche is like fighting gravity itself. Hundreds of tons of snow are moving around you. and you're just a 150-pound speck caught in the flow. The snow certainly doesn't care about your swimming technique. The world goes white as you're pulled under. The avalanche stops as suddenly as it started. The snow that was flowing like water a second ago sets like concrete. You're buried 6 feet down in a tomb of compressed snow that's harder than bricks. You try to move, but you can't. The snow has molded around your body like plaster, holding you in whatever funky position you landed in. Your arms are pinned to your sides, your legs are locked in place. Like ladies in box heads, you can't even turn your head. Panic sets in, you try to scream, but your mouth is packed with snow. The sound gets absorbed by the white tomb around you. No one can hear you, no one knows where you are. You try to dig, but you can't move your arms. Try to kick, can't move your legs. You are completely immobilized. The snow extends in every direction. Your breath fogs in the tiny air pocket around your face. But each exhale adds moisture and carbon dioxide to the tiny space. The snow around your mouth starts to melt from your warm breath, then refreezes into an ice mask that seals off your airways. At this point, you can't breathe either. Carbon dioxide builds up in your bloodstream. You can feel your lungs inside burning. Your heart races, trying to squeeze more oxygen from blood that's already depleted. Your vision starts to tunnel as your brain begins shutting down non-essential functions. 5 minutes pass, 10, 15. This is when your body temperature starts dropping. The snow is sucking heat from your core faster than your metabolism can produce it. Your fingers and toes go numb first, then your hands and feet. 20 minutes, 30, hyperthermia starts to set in. Your thoughts, they become sluggish, confused. What's kind of scary is you forget why you're scared. The cold doesn't seem so bad anymore. In fact, you start to feel warm, almost sleepy. It's like being on heavy, wait, I think YouTube's gonna ban me if I say this word, but that good kush. Your heart rate starts to slow down. Each beat is weaker than the last. Your blood thickens as your core temperature drops below 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Below 85 degrees Fahrenheit, below 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Your brain starts shutting down, memories are fading, vision blurs, the pain fades away. 35 minutes after the avalanche stopped, your heart gives one final weak flutter and stops beating. When they finally find you, if they find you, you'll be perfectly preserved. Eyes open, skin blue, white, and hard as marble. But maybe let's suppose you're only partially buried. Just like with an earthquake, you experience rescue death. When they dig you out and the toxins from your dying legs flood your system. Or maybe you avoid the main avalanche. You could fall into a tree and, well, suffocate upside down in powder snow. Maybe your beacon works. That's a type of emergency locator beacon, a radio transmitter and receiver, made for the purpose of finding people buried under snow. But the secondary avalanche triggered by the rescue effort could bury everyone trying to save you, and you're already buried, so you're dead too. Now let's talk about how you would die in an earthquake. Let's say you're sitting in your living room when it starts. It's a low rumble at first, then the ground starts to shake. Crack! The floor beneath you now begins to move like a mechanical bull trying to throw you off. Your coffee mug shatters on the hardwood. The walls around you start screaming, and I mean literally screaming, as the wood and drywall tear apart. You try to stand up, bad move. The ground is like a surfboard on a big wave and you're thrown sideways into the bookshelf. 200 pounds of books and wood come down on your legs. You hear the snap before you feel it. That's your femur breaking like a dry stick. And that's just if you're lucky enough that it fell on your legs. The pain hits like lightning as you try to crawl out from under the debris. But the shaking won't stop. The house is coming apart around you. The ceiling beam above your head groans, then gives way. 300 pounds of timber and plaster slam down across your chest and abdomen. Now you can't breathe, you try to expand your lungs, but there's a whole house sitting on your ribcage. Each breath becomes a struggle. Panic sets in as you realize you're pinned, completely pinned. The weight pressing down on you is now crushing your internal organs like grapes in a wine press. Your kidneys start failing first. The massive pressure damages the delicate filtering system and toxins begin flooding your bloodstream. You don't know it yet, but you've got maybe 6 hours before the crush syndrome kills you from the inside out. This is when the crushing of your body causes the release of toxic muscle cell components into your body, leading to kidney failure and death. Minutes pass. The shaking finally stops, but unfortunately, your nightmare is just beginning. The dust in the air is so thick you can taste it. Concrete particles, asbestos, wood fragments, all of it coating your throat like sandpaper. Every breath feels like scraping sandpaper now. Every cough brings up blood. Your legs will now be going numb because the circulation is cutting off. The massive weight above you would squeeze the life out of your lower body. Muscle tissue starts dying, toxins build up, your own blood becomes poison. Hours crawl by, you're getting weaker, thirstier, the crush injuries are releasing potassium into your bloodstream, and your heart doesn't like that. It starts beating irregularly. Your heart's rhythm becomes chaotic. Arrhythmia sets in, then your kidneys shut down completely. The toxins from your dying muscle tissue overwhelm them. Your body starts drowning in its own waste. Confusion sets in. You can't think straight, can't focus. And then you die poisoned by your own body. If you still somehow survive everything I've described so far, you would still die of dehydration 3 days later, trapped in debris with rescuers 20 feet away who can't hear your weakening calls for help. But let's try to be positive for a second. Let's say maybe you're only partially trapped. Maybe the beam caught your legs instead of your chest. Maybe you can still breathe, still think clearly. Congratulations, now you get to experience rescue death. What's that, you ask? The moment they lift that debris, all those toxins released in your crushed legs would flood back into your circulation. Your blood pressure crashes. Your heart stops from the potassium surge. Or, okay, let's say maybe you escape the building before it crushes you, only to face the fires that follow an earthquake. Everywhere around the city, there's gas lines that are ruptured. What if you died from a hurricane instead? You'll hear it first. The wind is loud. It's screaming like a madman, going at 180 miles per hour. It has the power to turn your neighborhood into a war zone. That stop sign across the street? It just went airborne and took out your neighbor's window. The oak tree you used to climb as a kid? It's horizontal now. You're huddled in your bathroom, the only interior room left with walls that aren't bending and breaking like wet cardboard. But you would still feel the house shaking around you. The roof above your head would start lifting and settling, lifting and settling. But this isn't even the worst of it. Eventually you would hear it, a sound like a freight train mixed with 1,000 chainsaws. The storm surge is coming. Whoosh. Water explodes through your front door. In seconds it's knee deep, then waist deep. The current is so strong it's like being dragged by a pickup truck. You try to grab the bathroom door frame, but your fingers obviously slip. The water is ice cold and full of debris. Chunks of wood, glass, metal, all of it swirling around you. A piece of roofing material the size of a dinner table slams into your shoulder. Crack. Your collarbone snaps like a wishbone. The pain is immediate and nauseating. But there's no time to process it because now you're underwater. The surge has filled your house completely. Now you're tumbling. Thud. The current slams you into the refrigerator, then the couch, then the wall. Every piece of furniture that's in there floating with you. Each impact drives the air from your lungs, but there's no air to replace it. Now your body starts panicking if it wasn't already. Heart rate spikes, blood pressure soars, your lungs scream for oxygen they can't get. 30 seconds underwater, 45 seconds, a minute. Carbon dioxide builds up in your bloodstream. Your vision starts tunneling. The pain in your chest becomes unbearable. You try to swim up, but which way is up? The water is black with mud and debris. You can't see anything. Your body starts involuntarily gasping. That's the worst thing you can do underwater. Your mouth opens and instead of air, you suck in a lungful of contaminated floodwater. It tastes like sewage and gasoline. The water floods your airways. Your vocal cords quickly try to shut, but it's too late. Liquid floods into your lungs and they start drowning from the inside. At this point, each breath becomes a wet, gurgling wheeze. Your brain starts shutting down from lack of oxygen. The pain fades into a dreamy confusion. Now it all feels distant, unreal. Your heart starts skipping beats, then stops entirely. The last thing you feel is the cold, not from the water, but from your core temperature plummeting as your circulation fails. You don't wash up on shore for 3 days. But hold on a second, maybe you reach the second floor before the surge completely drowns you. Great. Now, unfortunately, you get to experience hypothermia as you wait for rescue in 50-degree Fahrenheit water for hours. Your core temperature drops until your heart just stops. Maybe you survived the surge, but if you accidentally drank the contaminated floodwater, which you probably did, you would die of cholera a week later. Let's suppose somehow you make it to a hospital. You would still die from sepsis caused by the bacteria that entered through every cut the debris made on your body. Unfortunately, the chances of survival are super low. Now let's talk about how you would die from a wildfire. Wildfires are often smelled before they are even spotted. It's a stench that makes your nose burn and your eyes water. It's not just wood smoke, you know, it's literally everything burning. Plastic, paint, chemicals, houses full of modern gadgets going up in toxic flames. The fire is still miles away, but the smoke is already here. You think you have time, you think you can pack a few things, grab the cat, get in the car, and drive to safety. Most of the time, you're wrong. The fire doesn't march toward you slowly, it explodes unpredictably like a bomb. Wind-driven flames jump from treetop to treetop. What was a distant glow 5 minutes ago is now a wall of orange fire racing towards you at 60 miles per hour. The heat hits you first. Even at a distance, it feels like opening an oven door. You run for your car, but the smoke is getting thicker. Each breath is like inhaling sandpaper soaked in lighter fluid. Your throat burns, your lungs spasm. You start coughing uncontrollably, and each cough brings up black phlegm mixed with blood. The particles in the smoke aren't just carbon, they're microscopic shards of glass and metal from everything the fire has consumed. With every breath, you're inhaling tiny razors that slice up your airways from the inside. Your eyes stream tears. The smoke is so caustic, it's literally burning your corneas. You can barely see the car through the stinging, chemical-infused air. You make it to the driver's seat, but your hands are shaking so badly you can barely turn the key. That's the carbon monoxide poisoning. The invisible killer is already in your bloodstream, stealing oxygen from your red blood cells. Now you would start to feel dizzy, nauseous, confused. The engine turns over, but as you back out of the driveway, you realize the road is gone. Not blocked, I mean gone. A river of molten orange is flowing where the asphalt used to be. The fire has jumped the highway and is now surrounding you. You're trapped in a ring of hell. The temperature inside the car starts climbing. 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 110 degrees. The plastic dashboard begins to warp. The vinyl seats start to smoke. Even with the windows up and the AC blasting, the heat is overwhelming. You try to drive through a gap in the flames, but the moment you get close, the paint on your car starts bubbling. The tires begin to melt, the engine overheats and dies with a mechanical death rattle. Now you're on foot in a furnace. The air is 300 degrees Fahrenheit and full of superheated gases. Each breath feels like swallowing lava. Your throat swells shut almost immediately. Soon your clothes would catch fire. The synthetic fibers melt into your skin like napalm. The cotton burns away in seconds, leaving you exposed to the radiating heat. Now your skin starts cooking. First-degree burns spread across your body. Then second-degree blisters pop up and burst. The pain is indescribable, like being pressed against a giant branding iron that covers your entire body. But the worst part isn't the burning. It's the suffocation. The fire is consuming all the oxygen around you. What little air remains is mostly carbon monoxide and cyanide gas from burning plastics. Your blood can't carry oxygen anymore. It's carrying this poison instead. Now your brain starts shutting down. Hallucinations flicker through your consciousness. You see loved ones calling to you through the flames. You think you hear rescue helicopters that aren't there. Your muscles stop responding. You collapse onto the superheated ground, where the asphalt burns through what's left of your clothes and into your flesh. Unconsciousness comes as a mercy, because then you die without feeling the pain, but your body keeps burning for hours. Now let's say instead of stepping out the way you did, maybe you shelter in your house. You would slowly cook to death as the building becomes an oven around you. Or maybe you escape the immediate fire and are able to drive off successfully. You would die of smoke inhalation injury weeks later as your scarred lungs fail. Or maybe you survive completely. You would still develop lung cancer 5 years later from all the toxins you inhaled. There's no escape. Moving on to floods. It starts with just a trickle. Water seeping under your front door. Nothing dramatic, nothing scary. Just a small puddle that you mop up with a towel while shaking your head at the broken gutter outside. But the trickle becomes a stream. The stream becomes a flood. The water explodes through your door without warning. In seconds, it's ankle deep, then knee deep. The current is so strong it knocks you off your feet and sends you sliding across the kitchen floor. You grab the refrigerator handle, but the water keeps rising. The current is trying to sweep you out the door and into the raging torrent outside. And it's cold. So cold it takes your breath away and makes your muscles seize up like you've been hit with a taser. 50 degrees Fahrenheit water that sucks the heat from your body 25 times faster than air. Within 2 minutes, you can't feel your fingers. Within 5, your arms are too stiff to swim properly. The cold is eating you alive from the outside in, shutting down your circulation and making your heart work harder and harder to pump blood through your vessels. You try to swim to the staircase, but your body isn't responding the way it should. Your movements are clumsy, uncoordinated, you're hypothermic, and your brain is starting to misfire. The water tastes disgusting. It's a toxic soup of everything the current has picked up along the way. Chemical runoff, raw sewage, decomposing animal carcasses, all of it swirling around you in a brown, stinking mess. You manage to grab the banister, but a piece of debris, which looks like part of a fence maybe, slams into your ribs. Crack. You feel them break, and suddenly breathing becomes agony. Each attempt to breathe sends a sharp stabbing pain through your chest. The water is at your neck now. Soon it'll be over your head, and then you lose your grip on the banister. The current grabs you and drags you out the front door. You're being tumbled like a sock in a washing machine now. The world spins. Up becomes down. Left becomes right. You don't know which way is the surface. Your lungs are screaming for air, but every time you try to breathe, you get a mouthful of contaminated water instead. It floods your airways, and your vocal cords spasm shut in a desperate attempt to keep it out of your lungs. The water forces its way past your body's defenses and floods your alveoli, the tiny air sacs where your blood exchanges carbon dioxide for oxygen. Except now, there's no oxygen. Just that disgusting toxic soup. Your chest burns as your lungs try to cough up the water, but there's nowhere for it to go. You're drowning from the inside out while being swept downstream by a current that doesn't care if you live or die. Panic floods your system with adrenaline, but it only makes things worse. Your heart races, burning through what little oxygen remains in your bloodstream. Your vision starts to tunnel. The world gets dark around the edges. You stop struggling, not because you want to give up, but because your muscles have no energy left. Hypothermia and oxygen deprivation have turned your body into dead weight. The last thing you feel is the cold, deep, bone-penetrating cold that seems to freeze your soul as well as your flesh. Your heart stops beating. Your brain shuts down, and your body becomes just another piece of debris in the flood, dead. If somehow you managed to make it to the second floor before the flood consumed you, you could die of dehydration while surrounded by water you can't drink. Or maybe you survived the flood somehow because you just swim too well. You would die of cholera from the contaminated water you swallowed. Or maybe you're rescued. You might die in a hospital overwhelmed with other flood victims. Finally, let's talk about how you would die from a tsunami. When a tsunami comes, the water doesn't look dangerous at first. In fact, it looks almost peaceful as it rushes inland. There's no giant wave to warn you, no dramatic wall of water, just the ocean flowing a bit further than it usually does. That peaceful look is a lie, and the ocean water is flowing in much, much further than it usually does. The water hits you at 35 miles per hour, and it's not just water. It's a moving concrete wall packed with cars, trees, houses, and pieces of other people's lives. The impact lifts you off your feet and throws you backwards like you weigh nothing. You tumble through it like a rag doll. Something hard, maybe a stop sign, maybe a piece of roof, slams into your skull. Stars explode across your vision and warm blood streams down your face. But there's no time to assess the damage because now you're underwater, and the tsunami is playing pinball with your body. Bang! A submerged car hood catches you in the ribs. Crack! A tree branch whips across your back. Crunch. Something that might have been a refrigerator pins your leg against a lamppost. The water is black with mud and debris. You can't see which way is up, can't see what's about to hit you next. You're just a human ping pong ball being bounced around in nature's arcade game. Your lungs are burning. You need air, but every time you surface, the debris-laden water slaps you back down. When you finally do manage to snatch a breath, it tastes like motor oil and sewage. The current changes direction, and now it's pulling you back toward the ocean. But it's not the same water that came in. It's carrying everything it picked up during its visit inland. Cars, houses, bodies. You claw toward the surface, but you're running out of strength, running out of air, running out of time. Your chest starts spasming as your body tries to force you to breathe. Your diaphragm contracts involuntarily, and your mouth opens despite your desperate attempt to keep it closed. Contaminated water floods your throat. Your vision goes red, then black around the edges. The pain in your chest becomes unbearable as your lungs fill with liquid instead of air. Your heart races, then stutters, then starts beating irregularly as oxygen-starved blood struggles to keep your brain alive. You stop fighting because soon your body simply runs out of energy. Your muscles go limp, your brain starts shutting down. The tsunami carries your unconscious body back toward the ocean like a broken toy. If you had tried to stay indoors, any building you would be in would collapse from the water pressure. Maybe you survived the first wave. There's the second wave, which is always bigger. Maybe you can avoid drowning, but a downed power line in the water would electrocute you instead. And guys, I know videos like this are really interesting, so if you want to hear about what it's like to die in every single time period, and I'm talking about dying to things like dinosaurs all the way to dying in World War III, click this video on your screen. And if you're really early to this video and I haven't posted the video I'm talking about, subscribe to see it.